In these days, paying cash for your car doesn't mean smacking a briefcase down on someone's desk and saying, I want that one. What it really just means is that you're going to walk away from the deal with a car and no payments. But why would someone want to buy a car with cash? If financing is so easy and interest rates are so low and you can extend it over such a long period of time, what's the deal with paying cash? We're going to talk about it. Let's get into it. Okay, well, it looks like I smacked my mic here a little bit. I think the secret's out. This is a sock on my microphone. I don't have a microphone cover yet, but I'm going to get one. This is just a sock. I have it kind of tied back with a rubber band here. Okay, but back to paying cash for a car. So why would someone want to do this? Well, paying cash for a car has actually a lot of benefits. Probably the biggest one is that by paying cash for your car, you're making your debt to income ratio better. As regular people, most of us have debts or expenses every single month that we are obligated to pay. And whatever's left over at the end of the month is what we would consider our margin or whatever's left over. For many people, there's very little or no margin left over in their monthly budget. When you eliminate the car payment from your budget, you may end up with 2, 3, 4, up to in the low thousands of dollars, depending on how expensive the car is. You could have that left over in your budget every single month. This is money that you can utilize every single month to build wealth rather than just throwing it away on a depreciating asset that is just to get you from point A to point B. Another thing you can do with that money, and a lot of people do this, is after they pay cash for a car, they take the money that they would have spent every single month on their payment and they just pay it to themselves, and they'll put it in what many people would consider a sinking fund, where they're saving for a very specific purpose. And, if you take that $300 or $400 every single month and you pay it to yourself over the course of a few years, you have an account that's filled up with money again, ready to buy a new car. And it's likely that the car you have will still be good and that you won't need to buy a new car. So as long as you keep paying yourself into that account, you're going to be able to pay cash for your next car, and it's probably going to be a better car than you bought before. This sinking fund method is a great way to increase your wealth because, again, rather than paying those payments every month to somebody else with interest attached, you can capitalize on that money, pay it to yourself, and then buy the car you want, and even have money left over in many cases to start saving for your next car or to invest in something else that you want. Let's get into the steps of actually buying a car with cash. The first thing you're going to need to do is establish your budget. You need to figure out how much you're willing to spend on your car. This will really be decided by how much you have in savings. Or if you don't want to spend the total amount in savings, you want some left over, you're just going to need to find out what that number is and what you're comfortable with. A good rule of thumb is that your vehicle should never make up more than 5% of your net worth, or your vehicles should be worth less than 50% of your annual income. So if you make $50,000 a year, your car or cars should be worth less than $25,000 altogether. The 50% of your income rule when it comes to cars is a rule that's shared by the Ramsey team, who specialize in helping people become debt-free. And so I really trust their advice on that one. Next, you need to start shopping for the cars that you like. And when I say shopping, it also means researching. Find out what cars are reliable, what car is going to fit your needs and your lifestyle. And once you find something that does all of these and fits your budget, you're going to be pretty close to ready to buy. Something else you should consider is that if you're looking to buy a car private party and maybe even from a used dealership, then you're going to want to get the car inspected by a mechanic that you trust. Many mechanics will do a pre-purchase inspection for $50 to $100. And this money really should be included in the budget for your new car because making sure that the car actually works and that it's going to be reliable is really, really key, especially when you're going to be putting a good chunk of your money and your savings into this vehicle. Along with that, you should also be looking at resources like Kelley Blue Book to see if what people are listing the cars for, so that you can be informed of what the car is actually worth and use that to your advantage. So let's talk about that. Negotiation. A negotiation process can be really stressful, especially if you're in a dealership situation where you're talking to a salesman, someone who's very familiar with the tactics that people use and the tells that people have when working through the car buying process. They're experts at this. And so you in this situation are at a little bit of a disadvantage. And that's why the research portion was so important. A few rules to have when you're negotiating for a vehicle is, number one, never be afraid to walk away from a deal. If the deal's just not going where you want it, if they're not willing to budge, walk away. Show them you don't care. There's always going to be another vehicle out there that's going to fit your needs better. And if they're not willing to meet you at the price where you're comfortable paying, then it's not a deal worth having. Another thing is you should never be scared to be a very, very strong negotiator. The salesmen are going to do what it takes to get you to do what they want. You need to be strong. You need to be confident in your negotiation skills. You're not going to hurt their feelings. This is business to them. And while it might feel out of the norm for you, it's very normal for them to deal with things like this. And so just never be afraid to stand up for yourself. If you're able to negotiate the deal and get the price that you want, now it's just time to pay. And this will look like a couple different things. It's rarely going to be just cash in somebody's hand, from your hand to someone else's hand. Maybe private party if it is a private party situation, but with fraudulent money around, many people will just feel safer with maybe having a cashier's check or a wire transfer, which is going to be most likely how you'll pay at a dealership as well. A little tip here, and I heard this from someone who actually works at a dealership: never take any of the extras they're offering. They're never worth the price. Even some of the services that might seem like they're a good price, like an oil change, they're going to get you in for your oil change, and then they're just going to upsell you on a ton of things. They're going to tell you that your car needs fixes that it doesn't really need, or that you could find some cheaper somewhere else. So just never go with any of the additional items that they're trying to add when you're trying to kind of close on the car. Just not worth it. Lots of people will say that financing a car is the only option, and maybe it is for them, but I would just have to argue that if that's really the only option to them, then they're probably just not serious about paying cash for a car. But for you, if you want to achieve financial freedom, then eliminating payments, eliminating debt is the first step to being financially free. And paying cash for a car, even if it's a cheap car, is a great place to start. It takes a lot of hard work and perseverance, but if you're willing to go for it, then you'll be able to do it. But if you really want to be financially free, you're going to go for it. We're going to be here to back you up all the way. Like this video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.